Welcome. Welcome. Episode number 372. We're going to get started here. Jim's Corner tonight. Jim's Corner, Jim's Thoughts. We're going to see where Jim's talking points leads us tonight. So welcome, guest. Let me see if I can turn down the not too loud, is it? I got to get, folks, I apologize. I got to get used to the sound system here. It's not as easy as you think here. I actually need a whole system, which I'm working on. Who knows? Maybe 6 months from now. Anyways, welcome, guest, community member. Welcome to SOSMC. This is episode number 372. We have Jim with us all the way from Tucson, Arizona. And I am Santos here all the way from 2016. So welcome, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. Folks, we're inviting you to ask a question, get involved, educate us, support the mission, support us as we try to support you. Once again, number 372, we've got about 45 minutes or so. We've got a proverb. And what is today's topic, Jim?
I'd like to go and talk about the topic of toxicity. Toxic, hanging on to toxic thoughts. You know, I'd like to go ahead and talk about that. I saw, I think it was a YouTube short or something on Facebook that that kind of got me thinking about the damage that.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome aboard. I see you coming on. Welcome. Yeah. So inspired. So even you're saying that even a YouTube video could possibly be something very, very good to get motivated with.
Sure.
Or inspired by.
It's interesting. Like today, I was thinking about how do I, improve my life. And I was thinking, well, you have to go and get out of distractions, and you need to go ahead and start kind of like observing yourself. Just start observing yourself. I think that guy who wrote Atomic Habits was talking about one of the first things you do is you need to start observing, not judgmentally, start observing yourself. What are you doing? And you can't really do that if you're being distracted by YouTube and music and, all sorts of things. So that's what I kind of thought about. However, this one particular video got me thinking. It was a Venus flytrap, right? A Venus flytrap was given a hot chili pepper, and it clamped down on it, right? It clamped down on it. And they showed the progression of this particular Venus flytrap, and it died. It withered and died. And it was still hanging on to that hot chili pepper. And, it's like the message is like, what happens when you hang on to toxicity? It kills you, right? And saying, my gosh, what kind of toxic things are we hanging on to? What kind of toxic thoughts? What kind of chips on our shoulder do we have? What kind of resentments do we have? How do we see ourselves, in toxic ways, putting ourselves down, negative self-image, how we think about what other people are thinking about us, toxic thoughts. And my God, it's like if you can let that go, oh my gosh, there's a tremendous amount of peace that you have. Because hanging on to those things do you no good. It just causes you strife, stress, anxiety, negativity. And I mean, for the gambler, for the addictive gambler, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I'm sure that they hang on to, negative self-worth, right? I'm so stupid. I can't believe I got myself into this. I'm no good. I'm better off dead. All those thoughts.
Or if you lose money, you can get the thought, what the heck? I'm just going to lose it anyway, so I might as well just lose it anyway.
Hanging on to a negative thought. That's like a crutch. That's like a comfort zone. That's toxic. It's a toxic thought. And I think it's good for us to go out and, get to that quiet place away from the distractions and really think about what we're thinking about. You know,
And isn't it interesting that I always, and I should have said this at the beginning of each broadcast, I usually say, get in, buckle up, make sure you're buckled up, and turn down all distractions just for 45 minutes. It's difficult for most people, Jim, to for 45 minutes to turn down all distractions. It's almost impossible. For some folks, it's almost impossible.
yeah. I mean, like, some Jehovah's Witnesses came over, and it's bad news for them because I get into a big, discussion, and they want to leave. They want to leave. But we're talking about. I was talking about perception and how we see things. You know, how we
Yeah.
see things, how we see the world. They were talking about how today it's the worst time in history. I said, well, didn't you say that like in the 1970s?
Hmm.
Year after you guys always say that it's the gloom and doom is happening right now. It's the worst it's ever been. So I
It's
mean,
always, yeah.
and my focus was, how do we deal with these challenges and these adversities that are coming into our life. And that was the other topic that I wanted to go and talk about. Adversity. And can adversity be something that benefits us if we have the right perception about it? You know,
Yeah, what I'm gonna get we're gonna get into that. I'm gonna ask, let me see, we're gonna look at that word a little bit too, but before we go any deeper, Jim, and the seriousness of change, that's what I was thinking about last week when you spoke to me about this topic. I was just thinking about the seriousness of change. What in the world does that mean? What does it entail? Anyhow, let me read Proverbs 22 and we'll go forward here. Hopefully, we'll grow forward, making some sense. If you have a question, please feel free to ask your question. Maybe your question isn't about gambling being a big fat lie, maybe it's about something else. We can take a look at it here. We can brainstorm. Why not? We've got 45 minutes of a great brainstorming session right here, live and interactive. Episode number 372. Proverbs 22:6 says, train up a child. This is in the Old Testament, by the way, and I usually read out of the King James Version. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Um, Let me read the verse before that also. Thorns and snares. Thorns and snares are in the way of the froward. He that doth keep his soul shall be far from them. Doesn't it feel like life is like that? Like it's thorns and snares? It feels like life is very much thorns and snares. Thorns and snares, snares and thorns. And you have some peace in between in there somewhere. Anyhow, we are talking about gambling and what have you. uh, and we're gonna got Jim's corner tonight here, so he's got some talking points. Join in if you're on the other side and you want to come on the camera. Either that or you're eating too many chicken wings. Because I see those of you that are here, I can see you on the other side. You're not eating enough beef, Kobe beef. No, I'm just joking. You're eating too many chickens. Anyhow, join us on camera if you want to kick the chicken out. Join us on camera. Share your thoughts, share your ideas, share your motivation. Support this mission. Soldiers of Self Mastery has been around since 2016. We've come a long way. I believe we have helped some folks along the way, but it feels like a lot of folks have fallen off somewhere. They're gone. A lot of these folks that used to come, and I read the comments on my YouTube channel, read a lot of comments. There's hundreds and hundreds of comments, and I'm like, where are all these people? Are these all fake? I think to myself, no, they can't be fake. All these comments that are being left here. Anyhow, go ahead, Jim. Hey, Raymond. Hi, Mark. Hi, Laura. Raymond's Raymond Simmons. Don't be a Venus. Isn't there a book called Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus? Something like that. Anyways, or Men Are From Venus. Anyways, there's a book. Somebody can find it. Keith, we don't know how Keith is. So go ahead, Jim. We got
Yeah,
the
Raymond,
problem.
Raymond talks about don't be a Venus flytrap. Yeah, and Laura talks about wanting to go out and retire, which is a really cool goal. You know, um, getting back to the idea of toxicity, I don't think anyone can really work towards improving themselves if they don't find peace. And this ties back to this toxic mindset. If we don't have the ability to, you know, uh, initiate peace in our thinking, in our mindset, you know, we are going to be struggling. Everyone is going through a storm. You know, we're going through a storm, adversity. We're talking about that. How do we handle this adversity? Can we create peace in our mind and our soul during tough times? What kind of thinking, what kind of feeling, what kind of actions can result if we can, you know, harness and develop, inner peace? And that's why I was thinking about, wow, if I can let go of toxic thoughts, if I can go ahead and let go of toxic mindset, if I can go ahead and let go of toxic ways I think people perceive of me, how I perceive of myself, letting go of resentments, past failures, wow, I'm in a better state, a better mood, and I'm in a better place where I can go and move forward in making my plans instead of being in that deficit mindset that we were talking about, a few shows ago. The deficit mindset of being in a panic, running around, sad, crying, emotional, freaking out, depressed,
Wasting our time.
right? Spinning our wheels, not going anywhere, hanging on to that. We actually get so used to that state of the deficit mindset, depression, anxiety, negative self-talk. It's like a comfort zone. It's a go-to zone that we're so used to that, we
And the
can't.
atmosphere also, Jim, we got to focus on the atmosphere. The atmosphere has changed quite a bit. I believe there's an atmosphere around us that if we're not careful, we can get caught into and stay there, if that makes sense. There's an atmosphere, there's an attitude in the air, or maybe there's different types of attitudes that are in the air that you can pick up. And, which one are you picking up? Which atmosphere, which attitude? Because there's energies, right? With everything that's going on today, it's like it's almost getting even more challenging to just watch a video and trust people that you're listening to, maybe even live. So I asked a question on your topic. Let me put it. Let me. Do we? You know, do we have? And we're again we're all too distracted. It's a horror story sometimes just to find a step sometime, maybe just to even find a step, right? I don't know, what you want to call that, something that will help get you further a little bit.
Yeah,
It's
when
a challenge. It's a challenge. The whole world, we're all facing these challenges. It's in the atmosphere. I remember uh who was it that said attitude will determine your altitude? Zig Ziglar, I think, said that. He quoted that. And there are different attitudes, right? There's an attitude here in this program for 45 minutes. There's a definite attitude here. What's it for? What is the purpose for this? Right? We'll step away from this. We'll go to experience other attitudes or experiences, if you will. And those things will give us an altitude. Will they give us an altitude? Or what kind of an altitude, if it does, if it even does give any?
yeah, this program is, I believe, focused on sharing tools, strategies, ideas, and perspectives. You know, we want to go out and give everyone, choices on what works, what works for us. Possibilities. You may use them, you may not use them, right? But we want to go ahead and share and allow people to go and see that there are ways of defeating these kinds of demons that are in our life. There are ways, and and
Or just getting through it, or just getting through it, going through it.
I think it's important to understand that the world has a certain narrative. The society that we live in has a certain narrative. The world wants to kind of move us in a certain direction. We have to kind of stop and think about how you know the world has a certain agenda, and oftentimes we're not in its best interests. It's in their best interest. I was thinking about the Jehovah's Witnesses who came around. They have a certain interest, right? They have a certain belief and interpretation of the Bible, right? And I was just talking to them and
Mhm.
says, you know what, maybe we need to go ahead and just stop and listen to ourselves and think and pray and meditate and see what's going on in our lives and think about what is the right direction for me. Are these thoughts that I'm giving myself, are these thoughts helping me or are they hurting me? Why am I afraid? Why am I angry? Why am I resentful at the world or myself or my coworkers or my family?
Am I getting better or am I getting bitter?
Right. So, having a moment to go ahead and be away from the distractions, because those distractions, we have to understand that they're trying to go ahead and influence us. We need to influence ourselves in the way that we see that's better for us. Where do we want to go? What do we want? We have to go and pray upon that, meditate upon it. Where do I want to go? How do I want to feel about myself? Do I want to be bitter? Do I want to be angry? Do I want to be putting myself down? You know, do I want to go and stay in this addiction that I'm in? You know, or do I want something better for my life? What does better look like? You got to go and stop, get away from the distractions and think about your life. Like I said, really get to know yourself. We talked about that. Knowing yourself is probably the first step towards improving our lives.
Mhm.
Because we just go about our lives sometimes, on autopilot based upon the programming that we have received, whether
Yeah.
especially in childhood, the news, our work, our family, our friends, and these thoughts and habits are just ingrained. And we have to say, you know what, often those times those things are not in our best interest, you know and we have to go and fight. We have to go and fight, because oftentimes, it's easy to just keep on going with the status quo, right? But that status quo is just leading us into a dead end, you know and it's causing us a lot of pain,
Yeah.
fusion.
We don't want to be numb. You know, it's one thing to be numb. It's another thing to become aware that maybe you are becoming numb and do something about it.
It's not
Before
a
you,
comfortable thing. It's not a comfortable thing to be in silence and start thinking about your life. It's not a comfortable thing if you haven't done it before. It's like, you
but
start thinking about these ideas. Maybe it could be negative, because the mind sometimes has been programmed to go out and be very negative, you know.
well, it is an interesting challenge when you begin to ask yourself questions. You talked about asking questions, getting away from the distractions. You're either responding, you're either reacting. You're reacting or you're responding. You're either learning how to do one or the other. Uh, uh,
Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, how do we go and find, I mean, like the adversity we're talking this afternoon, there's been adversity since the dawn of time, you know,
yeah.
and we can go ahead and respond to it with fear. We can react to it with fear, panic, um, comparison, negative self-talk, this can't be done. This is awful. We can go ahead and put the responsibility and the blame on everything outside and feel helpless. We can go ahead and talk to ourselves in a negative way, saying that we can't, I don't have the skills, I don't have the ability, you know um, I don't have the talent, to go ahead and improve my life. That thought can go ahead and be constantly going through your mind. That's
So
reacting,
in
right?
reverse, ST in reverse,
Right. Or you can go ahead
ST
and
in reverse. Yeah.
and that's why I say, it's like being in that state of peace, can really, really benefit a person. If you can go ahead and find, a peaceful mindset, a peaceful emotion inside, where you can go and let go of that toxicity of negative thinking, the negative self-talk.
Yeah.
Hanging on to all that stuff just brings you down. And, if you hang on to that stuff, we can't respond in a positive way. We're always going to be in that deficit mindset of running around, beating ourselves down, like you talk about, you know.
Well, the proverb that we read here, it says, "Train up a child." The word "train." I used to say this: train your brain so that your brain doesn't train you. That's a good one. Train your brain so that your brain doesn't train you. But here in the scripture, in the proverb, it says, "Train up a child in the way he should go." Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. I'm finding out more and more as I just read and ponder and look at myself. Like I said, you're either responding or reacting to situations, and you should really know who you are, because the way the world is, the way things are going, we don't know what we're going to encounter from one day to the next. And I think about this. Imagine responding to or reacting to a situation that you should have responded to, but instead you reacted to it. Uh, here we're just reminding ourselves that, I say this often: your good life is going to come out of a good series of good, constant, positive reminders. That's what Soldiers of Self Mastery mission is, right here. Community, SOSMC community. That's what this is. It's more of a reminder, a pointer, a lighthouse, if you will. By the way, you know, this has been a bad week. Laura says, especially on Thursday. Hopefully, you've learned some good things. Hopefully, you've learned some good things. Um, bad week could be a really horrible week, I guess, if you probably didn't learn anything. Imagine having a bad week and it's just a bad week. But when you learn something from that bad week, it inspires you. It kind of, yeah, I overcame something like that 2 months ago or a month ago or last year. Anyhow, hopefully things will get better for you. Keep trucking. And uh, go ahead, Jim. Let me see. She stays safe. There's just a few people here that I want to address. Your looks like Mark, Laura, and those other of you that were here. I'm surprised there's more of you, but anyways, you're coming on and coming off. She stays safe. We create our everyday. We have say so. Yes, there is a higher power. I do believe. What I wanted to say is that the older that I get, I guess the young. I like to say the younger. I feel like I'm getting older. The more I'm realizing that my faith in God, not in some church or some religious group of people or anything like that. Just reading the Bible, reading the Bible and spending time and praying to God, asking him to help me. I realize more and more that he is the one that can truly help me in all actuality, in death and life. So, I invite those of you that feel, maybe there's somebody here that's really, really, and Jim's talking about this topic too. You could be really, I mean, honestly, I don't know where I'd be if I didn't have the Bible and prayer. I don't know where I'd be. It probably wouldn't be a good place. So that's how I feel about it. Are there others? There's others that are out there lost. Some people just can't handle it, Jim.
Mhm.
They go way off too much gambling or whatever. And then it goes beyond gambling where they get themselves in so much trouble that it's like the person that wants to cut his foot off because he's got some toe fungus going on. That kind of thinking gets in there. You know what I mean? I'm going to cut the whole toe off because I got a little bit of some toenail fungus there.
Right. I
And
mean,
I don't want to talk extremes because, the suicide rate is very high among gamblers, but it's not just among gamblers. It's among a lot of people today, period. People are distracted and people are depressed. And that's why I asked the question, is there a need for this? Is there a need for this? Anyhow, time is moving along. Go ahead, Jim. You've got some thoughts. I don't know. I'm looking for some questions here. Thank you for joining us.
yeah,
Episode number 372 here. Go ahead, Jim.
yeah. It looks like Raymond Simmons has a question. He says, "How do we go from a deficit mindset to a peaceful mindset?" I mean, that's a good question to go and ask. You know, it's good to go ahead and say it out loud and say, what makes up my mindset being a deficit mindset? Look back in the day, look back in the week. Maybe Laura can go ahead and say, what happened? How did I react? How did I respond to that adversity that was happening on Thursday? You know, I mean, did I have a deficit mindset? Did I feel a panic going through my system? Did I get angry at someone? Did I run away from a situation? Right? Did I lie? Did I go ahead and do something that, just try to go ahead and get me into that safety zone? Right? But, it was because of a deficit mindset. It's good to go and reflect. Santos, you talked about the importance of praying, meditating and being away from all the distractions. We need to think about how we are going through and reacting and responding to these challenges. And I want us to go ahead and just burn it into our brain today that we have the ability to put our mindset in a peaceful mindset. We can go ahead and
You
look
can
at,
do.
yeah, we can. I mean, just like that Venus flytrap,
And
hanging on to that toxic hot chili pepper, right? Letting it go. Why can't I let those negative emotions, of my coworkers go? Why can't I let? Why not? I can do that. I forgive myself.
I will. I do. I am. I can. I will. I do. I am.
If you think about it, it's like all those awful thoughts and that deficit mindset is just causing all that turmoil. And the reason why is because we're hanging on to these awful thoughts.
The
we're
chemicals. Let's talk about that a little bit. The chemicals and what's going on underneath the skin, the epidermis. Is this called the epidermis? I think it is, isn't it? Some people call it leather. They write on their leather. So what is going on underneath the epidermis? The chemical that goes from here. I used to have more hair coming here, but it seems like it's going back. But anyways, it comes from here and it shoots down the back of the neck. Does it? They're chemicals. Are they called endorphins? And they are underneath us and they move around the body when either we're either thinking high or low, or we're thinking all of this stuff that we're going through, all of these challenges. And so there's these chemicals that are being pumped, right? They're chemicals. They're secretions inside of us that either make us scared or they make us get angry and want to go further deeper into that thing, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So we've got all this activity going on right in here, and we come to a program like this and we're hearing Jim and Santos, but Jim and Santos, man, you guys don't have the problems that we do.
I think it's important for us. I think it's
I
important.
gotta laugh at that one.
I think it's important for us to. I mean, like the question is, how do we do, go from the deficit mindset to the peaceful mindset? I think about like buying a truck. I almost bought a truck today. It was a nice truck, a little Toyota Tacoma 4-cylinder, right? But the guy didn't have his name on the title. And it's like, oh man, I really like this truck. Great little truck. It says, oh well. For me, my mindset, my perspective is there's always going to be another truck coming around the corners. There's always going to be another truck. So for me, when I go ahead and think about that, I'm at peace because I know that there's a choice, there's an option. I believe that there's going to be an option. So, if it doesn't work, oh well, I'll just go ahead and wait around for another one. Okay. Now, if I had the deficit mindset, it's like, oh, I gotta buy it. I gotta buy it. I gotta buy it. I can't let this thing go. I can't let this thing go.
Yeah.
Right? The panic, the fear, right? But if I go ahead and change my focus, it's like, well, I don't need it right now. I don't need it right now. I don't need it right now.
So see what you're referring to on the outward, that's all the juices that are flowing underneath the skin, underneath the discharge that are coming from thoughts and words and all these things that are going on. It's all being displayed in the physical realm.
And I think the problem that we have.
So we do battle. We battle chemicals also. We got to think about this. We're battling inside the mind.
I think it's important that everyone should realize that we can create options in our life. The Lord talks about, I did not like the time limit they gave us, so we did it differently. Okay. So they gave a time limit, tying yourself to that time limit, and being at that mercy, right? That can go and put us into that deficit mindset. Yeah. It's like there's always ways of getting around certain things, right? That are for the best for us and for everyone else. Life is flexible, right? Life is flexible. There's some wiggle room, and we don't have to be beholden to a certain way or everything is doom and gloom, right? We have options, and we can go ahead and tap into our imagination. But that takes our ability to go ahead and be in that peaceful mindset. We got to be in that peaceful mindset. We have to be away from distractions, so that we can go ahead and use our creative mind to think about the different options and the ways of thinking about these scenarios, so that we don't have to be at the mercy of the negative mindset. So
we need reminders. We need reminders. We need to surround ourselves with reminders, and of course technology will help us do that if we use technology effectively.
Yeah,
because we do need. I know I need reminders all the time. We need reminders around us, and that's another good thing to think about. How do we set reminders that remind us of where we need to go and what it is that we need to do? Well, I don't need reminders. Well, then you must be doing excellent. How you doing it then? How are you doing it?
I mean, like,
Educate me.
I've been listening to that one guy, the homeless guy, and he talked about synchronicity.
Mhm.
Synchronicity, how things kind of happen as coincidence. But if you have a certain mindset, if you have a focus, you know, you will be seeing a lot of the stuff that happens in life connect to what you're focusing on. I remember Ford F-150s, I think I was interested in Ford F-150s a long time ago, just maybe after graduating high school and college,
Mhm.
And all of a sudden I see these Ford F-150s. Oh, there's one, there's one, there's one, there's one. They're all over the place, these Ford F-150s. So where are we, kind of pointing our mind, you know? And if we go ahead and point our mind in the best direction possible, right? If we are intentional about thinking about what's best for us, you know, we will start observing the connections in life, the messages, all these messages that reinforce what we're trying to go ahead and build in our mind, in our focus.
I think we need to really look at the times we're in and look at the business that we're doing, right? Um, I believe that right now there's a lot of opportunities, but we're not taking them for some reason. We're being held back.
If you believe that,
So,
you'll
yeah, I mean, if you believe it, you're going to see it. Just like the Ford 150 thing, you'll see it, but um, it's still around us, and I think that that's a good endeavor for us to really focus on. What's important for me financially is what you're doing financially going to get you over the next year, 2 years, 3 years. That's good. Keep at it, build it. Grow. If not, if you're gambling or you're doing other things or interrupting your work, you really need to. I mean, I'm kind of going back to classes. I'm going back to learning. I'm again meditating and praying and seeking direction of what's good for me, what's good for the mission here, what's good for me to support others. And you got to have something in front of you. You got to be throwing something in front of you because if you're good, just work with, like I said before, work what you have with what you have where you are. Work that to the bone. If not, if you're distracted and you came here and you kind of you're getting the nudge that yeah, you're distracted, maybe you feel distracted, well, good, then maybe that's what you needed to hear so that you can get back on track. Reminder, maybe it was just a reminder for us to tell you here, for all of us to realize, well, wait a minute, there's some areas I can see. I know, and when I wake up, I can see areas of my life that are distractions, and I work on them. Some days are better, but some things are a little bit, social media sometimes can get a little challenging. So anyhow, um, how, right? How are you going to make these changes? What would be the first step? Anyhow, appreciate those of you that are watching. Want to thank you for interacting. I can definitely see that most of you that are here, well, not maybe not. You eat too much chicken. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just trying to get you to come on the camera, and I'd like to see who you really are over wherever you may be. That might be interesting. That would be enjoyable. So we're almost done with our time here. We want to definitely let you guys know here. We're going to be back here on Wednesday. We're here on Wednesday, Sunday. We do our best to talk about gambling and escaping. Well, maybe we're not talking too much about gambling, but gambling is a big fat lie. You still have to overcome it if you have problems in your life with it. You should. You should overcome it. You should save your money and save your spirit, your confidence while you're at it. Because the more you gamble, the more you lose, whether it's blackjack, betting, sports, casino, what have you, you lose your confidence. And once you lose your confidence, you start hiding from people. You become a recluse. Anyhow, how do we create change? How do we create change? Jim, let me see. We go ahead and share your thoughts. We've got a few more minutes. I
Yeah,
don't.
I just want to go ahead and just reemphasize the point that we're all here for a purpose. Santos, you have a purpose here. I have a purpose to being here. Everyone who's watching, there is a purpose, there is a goal, there's a reason why we're all here. We have to be very clear about that, whether it be addiction, whether it be self improvement, whether it be dealing with our inner demons, we want a better life. And I think ultimately we want to be in control. We want to be in control of a better life for ourselves. We don't want to be out of control. There's things in our life that's taking us out of control, and the whole program, your program is called Soldiers of Self Mastery. Soldiers of Self Mastery. We want to be the masters of our thinking, our feeling, and our actions and our future, right?
Yeah.
It deals with a purpose. We have to be very clear on our purpose. Why do we even care about wanting to go and improve? We got to go out and be clear about that. Who are we
Respond
leading,
or react.
right? Do we
I
care
would
about
rather respond.
do we
I would
care about
rather
ourselves? Do we care about the people in our lives, right?
as we
Do we
react.
care enough to go ahead and fight the adversity that's in front of us? Are we willing? You know, these are the things that we need to go and have a conversation with ourselves. Really get to know ourselves. Okay, so what am I made up of? How do I react? How do I respond when things get tough? Right? What am I doing? And once you start getting some clarity, right? Even though it's painful, it's painful to go and kind of look at ourselves and look at the faults,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And but that's something that we have to decide to do, right? We have to go out and take off that band-aid and see what the heck is going underneath this band-aid, you know?
Yeah. It might be sticky. Yeah. That band-aid really might be pulling on some hair, man. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. So we
Might
have an
not be a
infection.
big bandage pulling on some hair, but you're gonna have to pull that bandage off so you can see, are
It's
you
a,
healing? Right? What's the wound look like? In
yeah.
fact, there's a proverb that says, faithful are the wounds of a friend, but deceitful are the kisses of an enemy. It's good to have good people by your side when you're going through good times. But it's even better to have good people by your side when you're going through dark times. So that's what we're about here, Soldiers of Self Mastery. Be sure to support this mission. Come on now. We're going to do our best to support you every Sunday, 7:30. Interact. Get rid of the feathers. Let's pluck off them wings. Quit eating that chicken. Come on the camera and share with us. Hopefully you'll be growing and instead of just going. So that's all I have for my call to action. You said something here. Let me see. Uh, One thing that I'm going to ask and challenge you on the other side, ask yourself the question, who are you? Who am I? Look in the mirror and do that. That's even scarier. Anyhow, uh, if if you if you want to grow, if you want to go, you got to grow. If you're going to play, you're going to pay. Jim, last words?
Yeah. I want to go ahead and reemphasize the importance of finding that inner peace, right? That inner peace. Try to go ahead and be able to practice finding peace with yourself, with others around you, and with your situation. And I think a lot of that involves forgiveness, being kind to yourself, being kind to others, right? Letting go of, just negativity. If you can go and do that, your mindset will be in a much better place at responding to the adversity in your life. You know, I mean, oftentimes we, in our mind, sometimes from other people, the problem's a mountain, right? Or it's a molehill, right? To us, it's a huge mountain. It's impossible, right? You know, and here comes the negative talk. Here comes the negative feelings, the panic feelings, the anger, right? So, I mean, being able to give yourself that option of knowing that you have choice of how to go ahead and think and feel about certain things, letting go of that toxicity in your mindset, giving it up, just drop it, you know? I don't want to go and feel this negativity in my life. I don't want to go ahead and say these things to myself.
I'm
And
going to get through
practice.
this.
I encourage everyone to go and practice something negative. Let it go. Let it go
I'm
and see
going to
how
get
you
through
feel.
this.
How do you feel? Some people say, give it to God. Give it to God. God
Pray.
has shoulders, right?
Pray. Give it to God.
It's amazing.
Let it go.
The peace
Yep.
you feel, I guess you can go and say serenity. You can find some serenity in letting all that negativity go, right? Now that
Closure.
Mhm.
You're getting closure.
Now you're getting to a grateful mindset, an attitude of gratitude, right? And now your mind is thinking about positivity and the opportunity, you know, and hope and light. It's
I
like now I can
can.
start moving.
I
I can start
will.
moving.
I do. I am. There we go. Jim's Corner, episode number 372. So thank you, Jim, for sharing some insights. Of course, we're just scratching the surface. We're we're like two lab rats, if you will. We're just scratching the surface. Hopefully, those of you that are in the audience can help us go deeper next time. Deeper, ask us questions, challenge us, see what we can come up with and what it is that we can define in this 45 minutes of brainstorming session here at Soldiers of Self Mastery Community. Gambling is a big fat lie. I hope that you go this whole week without gambling, the entire week. And once again, we'll see you at the top. We will see you at the top. Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So thank you, Laura, for hanging out. Mark, Raymond, Jim, all the way from Tucson. And who else was here? Let me see. There was somebody. She stays safe. And there was a few others, but you don't come on. See, you're eating too much chicken. Lay off the. Maybe I should be eating some more chicken. I gotta grow some biceps. Anyhow, we'll see you next Sunday, Lord willing. We'll see you at the top. Jim, thanks for the hangout. Let's go do it. Let's make it happen.
Thank you, Santos. See you on Wednesday.
All right. Bye, everyone.